You know, I remember when I was in my early 20s, man, and I was real big into making music at the time, and I still do, but this was in the height of me being crazy into the beats and this and that and producing. And I remember I used to sample a lot of video game and anime soundtracks at that time. And something that kept on popping up in my recommended was this song, Tetsuo. You might have heard it before. Man, I used to always see this pop up and I would always see it and see the edit and this and that. And little did I know that I was witnessing the resurgence of something called city pop. City pop unofficially defines the music of the late 70s and specifically 80s out of Japan. So essentially it's J-pop that had an up-tempo, urban and city feel. Tatsuro Yamashita is considered the father, having had his hands in some of the greatest records out of the era. And we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about my love and my beginner's guide for you for city pop. Now, my actual entryway into city pop didn't come till like 3-4 years later. I was probably about 20 years old when I was seeing that Sukaban Deka, the Midnight Pretenders remix by Tetsuo, but it was actually a US artist called Jenevive who came out with a song. This was during the pandemic. I'll never forget, man, March of 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. A song called Baby Powder. Baby Powder sampled a song by Anri, and we're gonna get into this song later, but I won't get into the song right now. Jenevive sampled that song, and I was like, what is this? You know, when I heard the beat and I heard her voice on it, I was like, yo. So I went to the comments and everybody was screaming, Anri, 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 oh my God, Anri, Anri, oh, she did a great job on this Anri. And I was like, who's Anri? So that's when I found out that Anri was the city pop princess. And you know, city pop is such a beautiful music, and I didn't know until recently that it actually didn't resurge until the 2010s. Like, I thought this was something that people were always into in the West, and I'm sure some people were, especially people who were into Japanese culture, but 2010s was when this was really resurfacing, and a lot of these bigger songs that we talk about now actually didn't gain popularity until now, basically like 2014, 15, 16. This is when a lot of these albums came out. Now, what I want to do today, I want to give you guys the albums that I feel are some of the best places to start, and a couple of songs, individual songs and this and that. And some of this stuff is going to have stories to it. I'm going to talk about my own personal journey with these things, and yeah, let's get into it. Now, let's just keep it a buck. Like, there's really no point of talking about city pop if you're not going to talk about this album. You know, I'm not usually one to run behind whatever the biggest things are, but let's just be honest, yo. Timely by Anri is probably one of the most incredible albums, period, to ever come out. This album, first of all, let's talk about Anri. Anri's voice, I think that's what the appeal is, and she's a little cutie Asian or whatever, so that's why people, and I'm really speaking from a Western perspective. You know, I already understand there's a Japanese perspective from back then and now. From a Western perspective, you know, everybody loves Anri. She's small, she Asian, and she got a very tender voice. And this album, well, probably not this album, the album before it, and we'll get into it, but the album before it was her kind of venturing out of the weird stuff she was doing, like in the late 70s, even the early 80s. Like, her music was wasn't quite what we know as city pop. And when she did that album, it was a good start. There was a hit record off of that. But Timely was the album that really brought her into the world of what everybody else was doing. How I feel, this is my perspective of it. And there's 3 songs that I want to bring up. My favorite song, and probably the biggest song on the album, Shyness Boy, which, you know, every time I listen to that song, it brings my mood up. Like, Shyness Boy is just one of the most beautiful songs. Hook, the bridge, the beat, everything about it. Like, this is one of those summertime feel goods. There's Windy Summer, that's a nice song. Remember Summer Day, I like that song a lot. Remember Summer Day, you know, Anri, man, that, you know, that's all I gotta say on that one. So this is probably gonna be I will put this as the gateway into city pop. Like, you should use this as your gateway. If you don't like this album, if you can't find 2-3 songs off this album that you like, then maybe the genre just isn't for you. So, you know, let's spend some time on this one. Love Trip by Takako Mamiya. So, you know, there's a whole lore about this. You can see videos about this and read up on it online. But basically, long story short, this woman comes out in 1984, I think, 3, 4, 5, 6, somewhere there, and puts out this. I mean, this album, this is probably my favorite city pop album. I like this more than the Anri joint. She comes out with this album and it's incredible. I'm not even sure if it blew up in Japan at that time in the 80s. And then she just disappeared. She never came out with another album. She never really stuck around. She just disappeared off of the map. I think that boy in the AniTube world, that boy Steve did a video on it. Shout out to him or whatever. He's not the only one. There's tons of videos that's been done on this, but she just vanished out the blue. And this is one of the most... See, if it was just an okay album or whatever, then whatever. You know what I mean? And I think this is one of the ones that resurfaced. I think the lore behind this is the fact that people were looking for this or found this, and then they were looking for more, and there was never more. You know, so that might be part of it. Maybe she just wasn't a thing. She didn't connect back then. But, you know, I would have loved to have heard another album from her. And there's 4 songs I want to bring up on here. So there's Chinese Restaurant, mainly for the melody. I mean, the production for this, the score is, you don't need no vocals on it. The vocals is like an icing, but the cake itself, this is amazing. Of course, Love Trip, which is the title track for the album. And then there's a song called One More Flight. And fun fact, I actually did a song, and you could check it out right there. I actually did a song sampling this song.
In a world where anything goes, where morale shows and hoes will be hoes, and cause no one knows what the next life holds, we forced to be militant and move 10 toes. I toned and I humbled up my spirit. It do no serve to immerse in fear. It's much peace and acceptance at least. Seems so to me, my word should be prophecy.
I put it out at the end of last year. So around September, October of last year. That's One More Flight. And then One More Flight actually connects into, and it kind of has the same arrangement, these two songs, a song called Morning Flight. So you have One More Flight that kind of has this melody to it, the production, the bass line, and then it's like a rendition version of it that created another song called Morning Flight that comes right after it, and they kind of segue. You know, Morning Flight kind of nibbles off of the heels of One More Flight. And you know, these two songs are just, they're beautiful songs, dog. I don't know any other way to tell you. You just got to hear it for yourself. I actually found this around the time that I found City Pop. I found this album, but particularly Morning Flight, and I was trying to sample it, but the bass line wasn't connecting. This is back in 2020, and it's been one of my favorite songs since. But yeah, dog, Love Trip by Takako Mamiya, definitely one of the essentials. Any essential City Pop list, you're gonna see Takako Mamiya, Love Trip. Next up, this is not one of the essentials critically acclaimed wise, like people don't talk about this album, but Rose by Marie Ijima is one of my favorites, particularly the song Himitsu no Tobiru. Yeah, Tobira. If you remember September of last year, September of 2022, not 3, September of 2022. If you've been on the channel a while, I came out with a video where I was like sitting in front of the a green screen basically, and I was actually rapping with a bunch of, you know, J-pop shit in the background. There was 2 of them that I put out, but the first one that I put out was actually over this song, and this is a beautiful song, dog. So amazing. The album is great too. Again, it's not gonna be one of the critically acclaimed, and you might have to have a special taste for it, but trust me, it's beautiful. And then next up, of course, I was bringing this up earlier when I said this is the next Anri album, and that's Heaven Beach, man. And Heaven Beach is a great album also. The first song I want to talk about is Fly By Day. I just think it's a great song as a standalone. Like, if you even want to, like, you could, before going into any of these albums, you can go listen to Fly By Day as just a general taste of city pop, and I'm sure you'll love it. If you don't, then again, it might not be for you, but you know. And then Last Summer Whisper. So Last Summer Whisper, if you remember towards the beginning of the video, I was talking about Jenevive coming out with Baby Powder. So Last Summer Whisper was the song that she sampled and damn near plagiarized, because all they did was just loop up the loop. But listen, for what they did with that song, what she did, go listen to Baby Powder, man. What she did with that song, that is still one of my favorite songs to this day. Honestly and truly, I heard Baby Powder first, but when I actually started listening to Last Summer Whisper, like, they're neck and neck. Like, both of those songs are neck and neck. I implore all you guys to go check them both out. But yeah, Last Summer Whisper, like, this album and these 2 songs particularly, this was like the segue of Anri coming out of whatever. Her music was very, to me, strange. It still sounded good. Her voice was still beautiful, but it was kind of strange, the stuff that she did. And I've listened to all her albums, particularly the first album through the 80s. And she went back to being kind of strange after timely, which is funny, right? But yeah, like these two songs, Fly By Day and Last Summer Whisper, were the songs that kind of segued her or set her up for timely. If you take those two songs and put them on timely, we're talking about one of the greatest albums of all time. Maybe, nah, I won't say it's the greatest, but you know, that's it for albums. But I want to throw a couple of singles your way that you could check out as entryways, and the first one is Fly Day Chinatown. I don't remember off the top of my head who makes it. It's in my playlist and it's like one of my favorite. Like it's literally one of my favorites. Like it's a beautiful song, particularly the melody of it and the hook. You know, song called Bewitched, Are You Leaving Soon by Naomi Akimoto. I love the production for this one. So for this next one, a lot of you guys actually know this song. Some of you are looking at it now and you just like, oh, I already know what that is. But some of you guys know this without even thinking. You think you don't know it, but you know it. So let's break it down. So let's translate this. Hohemi no Bakudan. Okay, well, Hohemi means smile. Bakudan means bomb. Smile. Bomb. Yeah, so listen, this is indeed a city pop song. The opening for Yu Yu Hakusho, that's a city pop song. I mean, listen to it. Go listen to all of what I just recommended to you and then listen to it. You know what I mean? So, yeah. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of things might just not be for certain people. So if you are very interested in getting into this stuff, but you just like, nah, like it doesn't really get me. I'm more of a Westerner and this and that. Don't feel bad. Like, you know, this stuff is not for everybody, but it was quarantine. And by the way, most of us who are into anime, especially the golden era stuff, we're susceptible. Like we're automatically susceptible to messing around with this stuff because the openings and this and that, we love a lot of the openings. So if you love a lot of the openings, especially stuff from the 80s and 90s. Look at the Sailor Moon opening. Fighting evil by moonlight. That's basically like a city pop song. Not even basically, that's a city pop song. But the thing about city pop, if you look at the history of it, if you look up the history, they said that it died down basically coming into the 90s because the next generation, you know, typical thing, just like with the US, just like with the West. In the 90s, it was about the boom bap and the lyricism or whatever. And then the 2000s come in and then, you know, the younger generation took it to something else, took it away from that. It was more 808s or whatever. So that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to throw that there. But a lot of us are going to be susceptible to liking this stuff off of the fact that we like anime and we grew up on anime. It was a no-brainer when I found this out as a genre. Yeah, so, you know, I just wanted to do this video about city pop, show some love to it. I'm not the first one to talk about it, but I do want to get into it more. And I'm also interested in knowing how many of you guys out there already were into this stuff. I know I have a lot of an older crowd over here. Also, I got people my age, even a little younger, but I have an older crowd also. Like I have people in their 30s and 40s over here. So I just wanted to break that down. And at this point, when this cuts off, I'm going to recommend some more stuff to you or whatever. So just enjoy that little vibe right there. Again, at the end of the day, it might not be for you, but I highly recommend it. I love it. You know, I bump it. I have different playlists or whatever, but when I'm at work, sometimes I'm bumping just the city pop playlist and I'm just listening to the melodies. In the summer, I was listening to a lot of these songs to Jump Rope, and you know, it's good stuff and it's something to switch it up. You know, it's definitely, we get into so much of the pop stuff over here or whatever, and it's nice, man. Also, I want to recommend a more modern one that is damn near, I thought it was something from the 80s, but it's damn near, she definitely is branding and marketing herself like a Anri or somebody from back then for the modern generation, but her name is Yukika, and I forgot what the album's called. I'll throw the album up right there. Amazing album, production amazing, the vocals amazing, and it's like it has like a facelift or an ear lift or something, an eardrum lift of the sound from back then brought to now. Please go listen to that album if you're into music. If you already love city pop and you don't know about this, I think the album came out in 2020. Yukika, she's Japanese, but she's based in, as soon as I saw the album cover, I was just like, aren't those Korean? But she's based in South Korea. She was acting, modeling, whatever, but she's Japanese. So I wanted to shed some light on that. So guys, man, city pop, peace.